Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm pleased to rise on the amendment that the honourable member from Airdrie-Chestermere has brought forward because when I spoke on this bill previously, that's one of the things that I had brought in my speaking notes in regards to the prohibited activities on 115.4. I want to get it on the record that I do support this bill, and the constituents of Calgary Fish Creek have indicated very clearly that they want me to support Bill 16 by phone and by email and on my web page. And quite interesting enough, in the Twitter world, they're also Twittering us, and we're finding it quite interesting because we obviously have some followers that are following some of the comments that my colleague from Airdrie-Chestermere and giving us some examples in regards to some of the things that they've seen. As I indicated when I was speaking before on this particular section, you see a lot when you drive Highway 2 or the Queenie, and I spoke in support of this bill when the honourable member from Calgary Hayes brought this forward at his first attempt and talked about some of the things that I had seen when I was driving. And then it was punted into committee, and now it's back. It's interesting how quickly the government can change, because at that point in time, there was no way at all that they were going to support this. Things have been interesting, Mr. Chair, and I was telling my colleagues after we were coming back from the AAMDNC reception that we attended, hosted by the minister. We went to grab something to eat, and I was driving up early on Sunday. And I've been watching, actually, because when I indicated I was speaking on this, I was one of those people trying to break my cell phone habit while I was driving down the highway and only using it if there was an emergency. Anyhow, I'm driving and I'm watching this individual in front of me as they're weaving on the highway, and I thought, cell phone user. So I catch up and I'm watching, and I honestly, Mr. Chair, drove off the highway. She was reading a book, and I had thought, I've seen everything. She had her book on her steering wheel, open, and there she was reading, and occasionally bringing her head up as she was reading the book. And I know that's contained in the legislation that they've brought in reading or viewing printed material, and I can certainly see why that they've brought that forward. What I'm finding under this section, and why I would like to see it taken out as per the amendment, is I just think it's too prohibitive. And I think if you allow our police department and our sheriffs and the peace officers that are on the highways that do an incredible job, let them make the decision and let them decide what they think should be prohibited. Whether it's, it could be a host of things, and I talked about the personal grooming and I talked about the hygiene, but it could also be, and it's not in here, but you attempt to drive down the highway with a coffee in one hand, and you might have a Egg McMuffin in the other hand, or a donut, and that can be dangerous on the highway. What I'm finding quite interesting now is newer cars, and they've got the movies in them. Now, I do realize that, and I'm not a car girl, that most of the movies are contained for the passengers in the back. But I'm not sure if there's movies allowed if you're sitting in the front. So, you have to be careful if somebody's listening attentively to this movie in the back and not paying attention to the road. So I will support my colleague's amendment in regards to striking out B under the regulations, but I will also again put on the record that I do support Bill 16, the Traffic Safety Distracted Driving Amendment Act. I just think that our police and our peace officers on the highway need to make the discretion. My only other concern is driving that highway all the time. the majority of the time when I'm seeing peace officers, it's because they're pulling somebody over from whipping down the highway at 150 or 160 miles an hour, and I'm just trying to rationalize if they're going to be taking a casual drive down Highway 2, just to look for somebody who will be talking on their cell phone, or could be reading a book, or for that matter, reading a map. Or, I mean, I don't have a GPS in my car. I carry Lucy, as I call her, in the car with me, and if I need to go somewhere, then I'll hit her, and she'll direct me all over the place. But again, I support the amendment that's been forward, and I look forward to any discussion.